any kind of funding from the national church bodies, and that may well have been intentional because of what I've already spoken of what Samuel Miller had put in place, that there would be no connection whatsoever in any official way with any church body. Miller's preference was that the LBI rather would be a faith movement. It could be offered, but money would not be sought. And Jack, that's the best answer that I could give. Those first two anecdotes are very extreme, but they're also quite true.
May I follow that up by asking, it seems to me the most critical support would have come from congregations in the form of encouraging students to go to LBI. But that stopped, dropped off dramatically in the last 30, 40 years as well.
The most critical support, Jack was saying, would have come from congregations supporting students to attend the LBI, and that seems to have dropped off within the last 30 to 40 years also.
I cannot address the last 30 or 40 years because, again, I have deliberately chosen not to go there. But what I can tell you, while there were congregations that adamantly opposed the LBI, evidenced by some very, very pointed, downright rude letters to Dean Samuel Miller during the early years, largely because the pastors either were totally ignorant of what the LBI does or were resentful that the LBI would dare use English rather than one of the Scandinavian languages, depending on the pastor. At the same time, outnumbering those letters by far were vast letters of support, not so much from pastors, but from lay people.
Yeah.
Lay people mailed in their checks and kept mailing them in, right on to the LBI. And that was the kind of faith movement that Miller had envisioned would come to fruition.
Well, we've reached our 3:15 time, and I just want to thank you again, Pastor Kibler, for taking the time to give us that early history, and we certainly want to surround you with God's love with respect to your healing.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope somebody will be safe. God bless you all. I'll sign off now.
All right. Thank you.
God bless you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay, we've got a break here from 3:15 to 3:30. Tom Conlon is the photographer, and he's found a very good spot to have the group picture be taken. And it's in the stairwell that's right down here as you, most of you probably came up on the elevator, but what he'd like to do is be able to be up above you all and then have the whole group going down the stairwell. So if you can, why don't we go out and why don't you...
Thank you, Larry, and thanks for letting me be a part of your special reunion. A couple quick questions. How many of you are specifically from class of 65? So maybe about half of you. How many of you were, from any year, a madrigal singer? Just 2 people. Okay. What we'll do then is we'll get first a large group, all of you together, and then I'll do the 65 one in a separate group. As time allows, if there's any other special group who would like an individual one, let me know. But I'll do those 2 for sure. So we'll start with everybody. If you go left down the stairway and at the bottom of the stairs, in front of the elevators, just congregate there, cluster together, shoulder to shoulder, and I'll do an overhead shot looking down. After the break, then you'll have an opportunity to order a copy from me as well. Question?
Spouses. Class of 1966.
We'll do all the alumni in one group. So an alumni group from any year.
Okay.
And then I'll do...
With the spouses or without?
What's the wishes of the group? Probably just the classmates?
Yeah.
Or you want to do both? Okay, why don't we do this? We'll do one with everybody, and then after that we'll do it minus spouses, and then we'll do 65. Does that sound good? Okay, so everybody, we'll start big and work down to smaller group. I'll be out there to guide you. Just follow us to the bottom of the stairs, and we'll get a group photo. And then afterwards, I'll do 8 by 10 prints. You can order from me for 20 each. So, thank you.
Rolling Valley Road, you can't miss it, you just turn left into their parking lot. We'll try to, I'll be packing up here, but then folks can head over to the Perkins, and I know we had a terrific time there last night. So is there anybody that's interested in going over to Perkins?
What at a time?
Well, we're going to be out of here at 6, so it would be as soon as you can get over there after 6 o'clock. Hold those hands up again so I can get a count. We want to
Are you
call
going to
them and let
Perkins?
them know how many.
They have to. They might know how many are going. Gotta get your hand up there. He's counting.
Larry, are you buying for all of us?
When we get the Alumni Association, maybe that will happen, but 17?
Yeah, she's here.
17. There's 17.
I asked her who she was. Yeah.
If they're on the outside, I'll go check.
I don't know who this is.
You must have. Did somebody want to say something?
Where is the Perkins?
It's just to the west on Golden Valley Road until you run out of Golden Valley Road, and it'll be on the left-hand side. You turn right into their parking lot there. Of course, Perkins is I think the one that has the big American flag, so keep an eye on that. No. It's just beyond Boone. It's just beyond Boone Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've been doing the history of LBI, and for our next session, Ingrid Johnson is going to relate some memories as she explores the latter and post-closing history of LBI. Ingrid?
Ed Anderson married Barbara.
I have to say that when
Lord.
I put these notes together, I didn't know what Dr. Kibler was going to say, so there might be a little bit of repetition. But I start out with, think how the influence of LBI has spread to the entire world. Many pastors, parish workers, teachers, both foreign and home missionaries, and other workers were trained at LBI. I think of a few of the missionaries that I have known or met, such as Edith Chalene, Pastor Ludwig and Esther Melander, who served in Africa, Hannah Hansen, who served in Hong Kong, Ingrid Hovish, who served in Africa and elsewhere. And I was privileged to be at the 100th birthday party for Minnie Tack, who was in the first class to graduate from LBI, and who was a missionary in China and Hong Kong. Of course, all of these have gone on to their heavenly home. And Alpha Jaquith and Ella Walburn were missionaries who also attended LBI in 1963-64. Alpha Jaquith is still living. Ella Walburn is deceased. And then Marlene Anderson, this is someone who is living. Marlene Anderson, who I had just talked to in the last couple of days, went 1 year to LBI and was a parish worker and teacher in Alaska before coming back and graduating with the first GVLT class in 1968. Then being a parish worker in Minneapolis before going to New Guinea as a missionary, then back to Minneapolis as a parish worker and attending seminary and becoming a pastor and serving a church in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So we have one from the first class of LBI and now one from the first class of GVLT who went as a missionary. And then I talked this morning with Helen Pedersen and mentioned that I mentioned her name, and she said, yes, she served as a missionary in Africa. She is now in her 90s. Now, presidents who have served LBI included Dr. Miller from 1919 to 31, 1935 to 45, which was already mentioned. Dr. Grunitzka, 1931 to 35, and 1945 to 48. Dr. Oscar C. Hansen from 1948 to 54, and Dr. Bernd C. Upsall from 1954 to 1986. And of course, Mrs. Upsall is sitting over there. And we think of faculty members such as Pastor Irma K. Lunder, who I was privileged to study under, Pastor Russell Wickstrom. Mrs. Wickstrom, she left now. She was here. Pastor Wilson Fabulous, Pastor Russell Nelson, Carla Holdeman, Pauletta Wald was mentioned, Sadie Ponwood. Do you have others you wish to mention, to name right now? Think about it especially.
Dr. John Gronley,
John Lee,
Helen Stone, Fagerberg,
Lottie,
We haven't changed.
Pastor Lottie.
Vikstrom,
Yes. Ed Hansen. Ed Hansen.
I talked to his wife this morning.
And of course, music was important under the leadership of Ruth Nelson, and then John Seagard, and there were concerts and tours. And in addition to studies, there was Christian service, which Dr. Kibler mentioned, which included visitation, teaching weekday church school, and so forth. There were youth rallies on Saturday evenings, with many coming from the outside, and sure many of you remember those. And a week in the fall was homecoming with special sessions. There were special courses such as the mission course, and he mentioned a winter short course was offered at least for a time for farmers and others who could attend only the winter quarter. 1 year the fall quarter classes were offered, the next year winter quarter classes, and the following year spring quarter classes. So that in 3 years the person could have 1 year of classes. I don't know if any of you were in that, probably not. Evening classes were also offered. And then the locations of the LBI has been stated. It started in the basement of First Lutheran Church in St. Paul. Then it rented an old seminary building, and in the summer of 1929, LBI erected the building at 1619 Portland Avenue, Minneapolis. And from another paper here, it said it was erected at a cost of $260,000 on the eve of the Great Depression. By the school's 25th anniversary, the entire debt would be paid off through the sacrificial giving of LBI supporters. In 1961, the school was moved to a new campus in Golden Valley. Affiliate schools were established in Seattle, Washington, 1944, Teaneck, New Jersey, in 1948, Los Angeles, California, in 1951, and all are now operated independently. California separated from its Minneapolis parent organization in 1971, and Seattle in 1973. Teaneck LBI became known as Luther College of the Bible and Liberal Arts when college courses were added, and it has since been known as Lutheran Bible Ministry Northeast, and no longer operates a school, and we don't even know now what has happened to it. We were just talking to Mrs. Upsall about that. The Seattle LBI now operates as Trinity College. In 1967, Golden Valley Lutheran College was established. Our classes had been offered in English and history the year before that. And at that time, the Lutheran Bible Institute was the parent organization with 5 fingers of operation: GVLC at the day school, the Psalm of Life radio program, Bible correspondence, course ministry, Mount Carmel camp, and Bible teaching missions and extension classes. And students who graduated received either an AA degree, junior college certificate, or a 1-year vocational certificate. Now, it was a sad day in April 1985, I remember it vividly, when it was announced at a special staff meeting that the school would be closed in May. Most of the staff lost their jobs. By the way,